Today we are exploring what may just be Florida's most unique coastal town.
It's located on the Gulf Coast, and while it is known for its gorgeous white sand beaches, it's also known for its impressive brewery scene and its Scottish heritage.
And while less than 40,000 people actually live here, nearly 1 million visit each year, and in this video we're going to show you why.
Now, in case you haven't already figured it out, the coastal town we're talking about is Dunedin, which is located west of Tampa and just north of Clearwater. This town is full of old Florida charm, but is also home to some of the best beaches in the United States, including those on Caladesi and Honeymoon Islands. But before we spend some time on the beach, we've got to fuel up at one of Dunedin's most highly rated breakfast spots.
Now, Pete's Diner is one of the many highly rated breakfast and lunch spots here in Dunedin. It's nothing fancy, it has an old school diner vibe, and it definitely has some Greek influences as it offers Greek breakfast items like a Greek Benedict, as well as Greek donuts, and you can also get gyros for lunch. Now, I went with the Monte Cristo, and Skylar went with the
Country biscuit.
And Skylar went with the country biscuit.
So this country biscuit meal consists of their homemade biscuit, country fried steak, eggs, gravy, and melted cheddar cheese. I'm not really sure if you're supposed to eat it with your hands, but I'm gonna try. So I love all of these things individually, but I wasn't sure how they would all mix together, but they mix great. The biscuit is crispy and buttery, the chicken fried steak is crispy, and the mixture of that cheddar cheese and that gravy is excellent. I would definitely order this again.
Now, the only time we have tried a Monte Cristo was actually in the Dominican Republic, and it was delicious. I love that it's a perfect mix of sweet and savory.
How's it compare?
Gotta take another bite. Now, this French toast is really soft and eggy, and the bites with that syrup are fantastic. So I would also order this again, and I also have to mention these home fries. To me, these look more like hash browns, but they are very crispy and delicious.
So we gotta say that Pete's definitely lived up to its 4.7 Google rating. We love the old school diner atmosphere, the food was really good, and the service was excellent. And while Jamie did really enjoy her Monte Cristo sandwich after trying my country biscuit, we both agreed that that was the highlight. Now the bad news is because that food was so good, we ate way too much of it, and now we're both uncomfortably full, so we have to go find a spot to walk some of this breakfast off. But I cannot think of a better place to do just that than one of Dunedin's beautiful beaches.
So our second stop of the day brings us here to Honeymoon Island. But I first want to tell you about some of the other beach options in the Dunedin area. First, you've got the Dunedin Causeway, and a lot of people go here, they just drive up, park, and spend the day there. And that is actually the easiest and the cheapest beach to access in this area. The other option is on Caladesi Island. Now that is more challenging to access and is the most expensive. You have to go there either by ferry, or you have to paddle yourself, or have a private vessel. But we actually learned today from the staff that the state park on the island hasn't even reopened yet since the hurricanes, so that's currently not an option. But we have gone there on our channel a couple of times, so if you're interested in seeing the beautiful beaches over there or how to access it, make sure to watch one of those episodes after this one. We'll be sure to leave a link to those episodes in the video description. Manatee?
I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's right in there. Now, I am a little bit bummed that Caladesi is closed because, as some of you may know, it's one of my favorite beaches due to its secluded feel and its beauty. But Honeymoon Island sure is a good fallback option. It's got a bunch of different beaches to choose from. This beach we're on right now, furthest to the north, has some of the softest white sand that you'll find in the area. And even though today is the Friday before Labor Day weekend and there are a ton of people here, there is still plenty of room to spread out.
We are not using any filter. This is how vibrant the water is today. It is gorgeous out here.
I know, maybe we need to change our plans and just make this Honeymoon Island video, huh?
Oh my gosh. No, I'm excited to go to downtown.
Now we do got to mention that even though Honeymoon Island definitely is back open, it is still recovering from the hurricanes. A few of the pavilions are still closed, as are some of the public restrooms and the spots that you would normally find food. But where the restrooms are closed, they have been replaced by porta potties. And there's also a few food trailers out on the island today. We actually found 3 of them, so they do offer a pretty good variety of food out here. We also got to mention that the trail is open, and if we had more time out here today, we would definitely hike that trail because it is one of our favorite ones in the area.
Now we are so glad we made it out to the beach today because this is the most vibrant we have seen the water in this area of Florida since the hurricanes. And honestly, we briefly thought about changing our video idea to a Honeymoon Island video. That way we could stay out here all day. But we have a lot of things we are excited to see in downtown Dunedin, so we'll see you there next.
We've made it to downtown Dunedin, and since we are here on a Friday, the downtown market is going on. It is a really cool market that we would recommend visiting, but since we visited it in our last Dunedin episode, we're gonna skip it today. Now, even though our breakfast spot had some really great food this morning, they didn't have a great coffee selection, so we are still on our hunt for our first cup of coffee today, and downtown Dunedin definitely has some excellent options.
So you'll find Two Crow in this old tiny house downtown. You can even sit outside on the front porch in a rocking chair, but because it's 90 degrees today, we are hanging out inside. We love that they make a bunch of their syrups in-house. I went with their Snickerdoodle latte. It uses their homemade Snickerdoodle syrup. And Skylar went with the Golden Crow, which is an oat milk latte, and it has things like ginger, turmeric, and date syrup in it. That's really good. I like the coffee flavor, and the Snickerdoodle flavor is not overpowering, not too sweet.
So you can really see the turmeric in this latte. It's very golden in color. I've definitely never had a latte that's looked like this, and I doubt I've ever had one that's tasted like it either. Wow. That is amazing. It's quite spicy, actually. You can really taste the turmeric. It's not overly sweet. The coffee flavor is robust. Man, that's a great latte.
So after trying both of our coffees, I would recommend my Snickerdoodle latte for the summertime, and I would recommend Skylar's Golden Crow for the wintertime. It kind of reminds me of something I drink around the holidays because of all the spices in it. But Skylar loves spicy things, so he will gladly drink it even on a 90-degree day.
Now, those of you who've been watching our channel for a long time may recall that we actually filmed an episode in Dunedin a while back, but that's probably been like 3 or 4 years ago by now. And it was at the end of a 7-day road trip, and we knew we were gonna be tired, but what we didn't know is that 2 days prior to that, we would get eaten alive by yellow flies on the Weeki Wachee River. So the night before we made our Dunedin episode, we hardly slept at all because we were so itchy. That Dunedin episode was not one of our best. Ever since then, we've been pretty much itching to get back to this town to film another episode that would do it justice, so we're really happy to be back here.
Now, typically we aren't super excited about refilming in destinations, but Dunedin was a little bit different. And actually, we have been talking about going back to some of the beaches in this area and remaking travel guides, because the guides we made a few years ago aren't that accurate anymore since the hurricanes took out a lot of the businesses. But we haven't decided yet if we want to focus on those travel guides or if we want to go to new destinations. So if you guys watching have opinions either way, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. So Carver's is an extension of Jensen Brothers Seafood Market. They offer things like seafood baskets, sandwiches, spreads, and in the wintertime, they even have soups. Today we got a scallop skewer, conch fritters, and a key lime bar.
And I was not planning on drinking a beer this early because we do plan on visiting at least a couple breweries later today, but I could not pass up this special edition IPA from local brewery Coppertail. That is good. So we decided to keep our lunch a little bit light because honestly we're still full from breakfast and we have a dinner spot that we want to have an appetite for later on. Now our food came with 2 different sauces. I'm not really sure which goes with which, but I am going to try a conch fritter in this orange sauce. So I'll start off by saying the flavor of that fritter is excellent, but the texture is very strange. It's a variety of strange textures actually. It is crunchy on the outside, but it's kind of gooey in the middle, and then the conch is super chewy, but I love it. It tastes amazing.
Now we ordered our skewer grilled at the recommendation of the staff here. It was lightly seasoned and a little sweet, and that was the right decision. Now we weren't planning on ordering dessert here, but this key lime bar was only $3, so we had to give it a try. So I'd say your crust ratio is much bigger compared to your typical key lime pie, but the filling on this has a really good balance of the tart and sweetness, and honestly I would expect to pay twice as much for something like this at most other establishments, so I would recommend it.
Now normally I'd be a little bit cautious about ordering a $3 piece of key lime dessert because like Jamie said, typically it costs twice that much, but based on her reaction, I'm guessing I'm gonna like it. Absolutely worth $3. Not the best piece of key lime pie I've ever had, but very good for the price. We just finished up our lunch at Carver's, and even though we didn't order that much, overall it was a really good experience. Now those scallops were really good, but at $10 I think we wish we would have ordered something else, maybe a sandwich or some tacos. But those conch fritters, however, were only $4, and those are probably the best conch fritters I've ever had, and that key lime bar at just $3 was also an absolute bargain.
Now to get to our next spot, Google Maps actually has us walking on the Pinellas Trail, and we actually rode it for 40 some miles all the way from downtown St. Pete to Tarpon Springs. That was a really fun trip, so if you're interested in seeing that adventure, we'll make sure to put a link to that episode in the video description as well.
Now on our way to some of the downtown shops, we came across the Dunedin History Museum. It was a $5 entrance fee, so I decided I would work on burning off some of my lunch on the trail while Jamie shows you around inside.
So this museum is really interactive. You can hit different buttons here, and it will play information on the TV. Way back in the day, Honeymoon Island and Caladesi were actually connected, and they were known as Hog Island, and that was in the 1880s. Then in 1921, a hurricane split the island into 2, and the north area became known as Honeymoon Island and the south Caladesi. And hogs did actually used to live on Hog Island, and then Clinton Washburn bought it, tried to flip it, and turned it into a destination for honeymooners. So Dunedin was a tourist destination way back in the 1920s already.
So even though we are out filming for the channel here today, we are also celebrating a little bit because we've had 3 special occasions within the last month or so. Jamie had her birthday, we had our 13-year anniversary, and we also reached the 1-year milestone of when Jamie went full-time working on the channel. Now, if this section does end up making it into the video, be sure to congratulate Jamie on all of these milestones and let her know how amazing she is. And we also, of course, have to thank all of you for supporting us along this journey and allowing us to continue to pursue this dream every single day.
So even though the History Museum is in a pretty tiny building, they have packed a lot of information in there about the city of Dunedin, the barrier islands, the citrus industry, and the railroad. So if you're at all a history buff, we would recommend popping in. Now, even though this community only has about 4% Scottish ancestry, it really embraces its Scottish roots. It was named by two Scotsmen, and the city name of Dunedin is actually the Gaelic word of Edinburgh, the capital of Scotland. I learned in the museum that it wasn't until the school received a gift of bagpipes that the community really started to embrace its Scottish heritage. The high school still to this day has a bagpipe band, as well as the city, and that one competes all over. They also have an annual Highlands Festival.
Now, downtown Dunedin is super quaint. It's full of little shops and definitely has some European vibes. Some of that Scottish heritage that Jamie was mentioning earlier is on display here at the Celtic shop, and we're going to show you what you can find inside.
Now, we love that downtown Dunedin is so walkable. It also has a bunch of free parking and these mom and pop retail shops that also offer happy hours. Like this one right next to me, I believe it's a candle shop, and they are offering $5 drinks from 4 to 6. Now, normally we would hop right on that, but we have some other destinations on our itinerary.
Now, while Jamie would probably gladly spend the rest of this day shopping, it is now after 5 o'clock, which means it's time to move on to my favorite portion of this video, and a lot of you guys probably already guessed what that is, so we'll meet back up with you at our first brewery.
Now, while we make our way to this first brewery, I do have to share a fun story that I read when I was researching this city. So several years ago, 2 residents got up really early in the morning and painted a bunch of orange murals downtown. Now, these murals attracted so much attention that people came from all over to see them. So one of those residents has continued to paint these orange murals all over the city, and I believe he's painted over 800. It's kind of fun to go around and try to find them, and I think it's a great way to pay homage to the citrus industry that played such a big part in the city's history.
Now, we got to start off our beer drinking portion of this video at Dunedin's original brewery, which is simply known as Dunedin Brewery. Not only is it Dunedin's oldest brewery, but it's also Florida's oldest distributing microbrewery that's still in operation, and I cannot wait to see what they got on tap. They had so many interesting beers here at Dunedin Brewery, I just had to get a flight. Now, even though these may all look the same, I can assure you they are not. The first 2 here are local honey ales. This is an apricot peach ale, which apparently is very popular, and this is their Piper Pils. I also had to get a pint of this porter because it's only $4 this week. That's a very crisp, easy drinking porter. So I gotta say, I'm a little bit surprised by these 2 honey ales. They are not what I expected. There's hardly any sweetness in them at all. Between the 2, I definitely prefer the one that's not stored in a cask because it's colder and it doesn't taste like whiskey, but if you're a whiskey fan, you may like the cask one. Now, between the other beers, I do really enjoy the porter and the pale ale, but I gotta say my favorite is that apricot peach ale. I definitely understand why it's one of their most popular. It's a little bit fruity and has just a little bit of hoppiness. It's balanced really well. So I was kind of hoping that as I drank more of these honey ales, I would enjoy them more, but actually the opposite is happening. But as I drink more of this apricot peach ale, I'm actually enjoying it more. Plus, I'm loving the atmosphere in this place. And where else can you get a $4 pint of a porter? I would definitely recommend this place, even though I'm still not a huge fan of the honey ales. Now, even though Dunedin is located right on the water, surprisingly, there's not a whole lot of options for waterfront dining. But one spot where you can dine with a waterfront view is here at Old Bay Cafe. They actually had an option on the menu where you could choose 3 different types of seafood, and they actually had 2 fresh catches, so we had to get both of those. We got a pan-seared grouper, we got a blackened mahi-mahi, and we got a crab cake. We also got a side of some Asian noodle salad and kettle chips.
So we just got done with our dinner at Old Bay Cafe, and we were really glad to get that platter because we got to try 3 different kinds of seafood. Now the 2 fresh catches, we really loved the flavor, but they were cooked a little more well done than we prefer, but we both absolutely loved that crab cake. It was full of like no filler. It was a dome full of crab and it just melted in your mouth. So we would recommend that place for crab cakes, drinks, and the views. What? That's a real dog. I thought that was a fake dog, but I think it was real.
Oh yeah, he's moving.
He's moving? Oh my gosh. Oh, he just went inside there. Well, we didn't expect to see that here in downtown Dunedin.
So we were having a little bit of a hard time deciding which of the other 7 downtown Dunedin breweries we were going to end our night at. But after doing a little bit of research, we discovered that there was a band playing tonight at one of them that we've been really interested in. Their name is Grass Grunge or Grunge Grass. I'm not really sure which, but based on their name, we imagine they play some sort of combination of bluegrass and grunge music. Now, we enjoy both of those types of music individually a lot, but have definitely never heard them combined, so we're really excited to check out this band and this brewery. So we made it here to Caledonia Brewing, and so far we're really impressed. The band only played a couple of songs before going on break, but they were really good. We like the atmosphere, and their beer selection is pretty impressive. I actually started off with a guest tap from Urban Artifacts, I think it's called. It's a mixed berry tart. It's on nitro. This is the first time I've ever seen a sour beer on nitro, so I am excited to try. Oh wow. So since it's on nitro, it's incredibly smooth like most nitro beers. It's a little bit sweet, but more sour than sweet. Definitely my type of sour. I'd recommend it.
Since I'm gonna have to drive us all the way back to Palmetto, I'm really appreciating that these breweries are offering NA beer. I have a Deschutes IPA and it actually tastes like a good IPA.
So since Jamie said I could only have one more beer tonight, I decided to end the night strong with the Scotch Ale. It's like a 10 or 11% beer, yet it's incredibly smooth. I couldn't think of a better way to end the night here in Dunedin. Thanks for watching.